morning, everyone. My name is Rick Noda. I'm here in beautiful Encinitas, California at T3 Talks. The person sitting right next to me, good friend of mine, Mr. KC, say hello. Now, you guys know I mess up bad names, and I even say Noda. I can mispronounce Noda sometimes, Casey, if I could.
Yes,
but,
you can.
But Casey, in session, that's funny, isn't it, Esteban? Sometimes, like I'll tell someone. So Casey, tell everybody who you are, how do you properly pronounce your last name, and what you do, man.
My name is Casey Rentfro. That's with a T, Rentfro.
Rentfro.
Not as many Rentfros out there, but I'm 27 years old. I'm a licensed real estate agent here in San Diego.
Nice.
And I've been working out with Rick here for about 11 months, and it's been a very life-changing experience.
What's the company you work for, man?
It's called Swell Property. We're out of Leucadia here, just right down the street, and we cover pretty much from La Jolla to Oceanside, and
Nice.
Specifically North County Coastal.
Well, it's me and Casey the other day. I just figured out Swell.
Yeah.
Right. So Swell, you guys, those out there. Okay, I'm older. Yeah, I'm 47 years old, turning 48. I use the word swell.
Yep.
Things were swell.
Yep.
Like, oh my God, dude, things were swell. Now, you were telling me something like I made fun of the name, like swell, but you were telling me that Swell Properties is what?
Yes, as of last week, Swell Property is actually the last local brokerage that is a small shop here in Leucadia, Encinitas specifically. Everyone else in the surrounding area is bought on by a larger company, so we're the last ones left that are keeping it very local and keeping it clean, keeping it everything good.
And I like the local presence because you guys, those know in a previous life I was in the financial industry. But when you get a guy like KC who's local, he knows the market. He knows those pocket listings. He's sitting here and he's going to the Lazy Acres. He's seeing Susan and Frank and all those guys.
Yep.
So he really knows, not only the property, but now it's kind of funny in fitness. We've started to see some of the local places here. We've gone to Stone Steps, we've gone to Swami's, we've gone to Moonlight. So we've got to see some of the local gems. Now, KC, what's kind of nice is when I was in the financial, arena, I pulled off my Marine Corps experience, which is country, and I'll often say spirit or family, those three core values. Mm-hmm. Now, when we were going through and talking, you have some really good, awesome, interesting core values. You mind just telling everyone about what those core values are and really how important they are to drive you? Yeah.
So first and foremost, family is certainly, I would say, number one for me. I'm very close with my family. I've been given a very great life as far as my upbringing, and I'm
nice.
beyond grateful for that, because I know not everyone necessarily had those opportunities. So I keep in touch with my mom, my dad, and my grandma every single day. I talk to them
nice.
And try to see them, so I don't know too many people that call their grandma every single day.
I'm going to tell you, you know what? I try to call my grandmother, but she's like 93 years old. How old is your grandma?
She just turned 77.
77, you guys. So, and that's a golden age of just beauty of that is 77.
Yeah.
And you said, so the family is important, and not, family helps you with connection, helps you stay grounded. What are the other, what other core values you have?
Outside of family, I think, there's just so much negativity in the world and just everything that I come across. And, something I really try to hold true to myself is just to be a good person and to do good to others. I don't judge people. I don't have any immediate, takes on someone. I try to get to know them and give everyone the benefit of the doubt.
Well, he's talking to me, so that's true.
Yes. Trying to give everyone the benefit of the doubt. And not try to put certain, people in certain places type of thing. And, that's something that I really feel no matter where you're at in life, everyone goes through different things, and, you don't need to necessarily be judged because of that.
And it allows for you to appreciate others more, and it gives you more balance. That's what's really kind of nice is it allows you to go through, if you're not worried about all that, what I call that noise, you can really just really appreciate people, and, and then that provides more balance. Now, you and I were talking too about being present. I talk all the time about being more mindfulness and mentally, can you give me a good example of and I love that because you guys, when we're in session, him and I are talking, he's got his girlfriend in session, and, we're always talking and teaching. And he was telling me about something that was really kind of cool when you were just locked in. It was just recently. Tell everybody if you don't mind.
Yeah. So my girlfriend and I just went up to Mammoth about 2-3 weeks ago. We went snowboarding, and a big credit to that goes to this individual here as far as getting us in the proper fitness shape to be able to go 2 days nonstop down the mountain. So thank you very much for that, Rick.
I love snowboarding, baby.
Yes. So, but that, when you're going down the mountain at a high speed, and you can't afford to do anything else. If you're not focusing and locked into the moment in that, you're going to crash. You're going to get into a very serious injury, and it's not good. But as a reflection of that goes to, as far as just being more in the moment, is just kind of taking that into your daily circumstances of whatever you're doing. And there's so many distractions that we have every single day with our phones and social media, and just everything out there is just some different ad trying to get you to do something. And so personally for me, I've used meditation the past few years as a method to kind of quiet and sound out the noise and really focus on what I'm trying to do in the present moment with where I'm at right now, and then just kind of live for the day and live through the day, as opposed to trying to forecast everything for weeks and months out in advance.
It's and that's nice, and that's part of like the co-mentorship that we do with each other, with our athletes, because again, so much of like, compared to what, like you're doing what, versus just saying, I'm taking care of this task this second.
Yeah.
So much of what we're always putting is sometimes the horse before the cart.
Correct.
And that, I'll tell you the good example, and this is nice, is how I transition even some of the stuff like you're being present is like when I was just in cycling camp. When I was in camp, like going down a mountain, very similar on a bike or on a snowboard, what it does is it allows for me to, believe it or not, breathe and relax.
Take a breath.
You take a breath. Now, I have an animal that I love that's endeared to myself, and that's the dolphin. And the reason I like the dolphin is because it's an intelligent and it's a relaxing animal. So believe it or not, when I'm going down, and this is the sound, and Esteban's heard this like 100 times, is when you're going, there's nothing more, this, you have to find that animal that you got to breathe, you got to relax, because if you don't, like you said, one faulty move can do that.
Correct.
So I'm able to transition that. Here's how it transitions. Someone comes in, I had it happen, they're disgruntled, or some guy at Staples is just mad because he's third in line. That's what he's third in line and he's mad. You know what I tell that guy? I'm in front go ahead of me, dude. Yeah. Don't worry about it. You could be now second.
It's not worth it.
It's not worth it.
It's not worth it.
And that's what's the cool part. Young kids you said you're 27, correct? Yeah. So at 27 years old, you guys, Casey has learned the lesson that it took me to learn at 45 years old, that take away the anger. So much of what we're doing, it's fueled by anger, not being present, not having the balance. But and Casey has heard some of my other podcasts. It starts with those core values. Yeah. By having that family appreciation and balance, that's your core values, and everything else goes from there. Yeah. Now,
another thing I would say to that is also one thing through reading and different, just kind of been meditating consistently for a long time, is to try to really get rid of the ego. So, that's one, I would say, one item that is really, it's hard to do because we all have it. We all think, we are entitled to this or have a certain expectation of that. But at the end of the day, when we can eliminate ourselves from our ego and not let that be a factor, then you can really, it really puts things in perspective.
And the ego, and you guys, the ego is such a small thing that but can be such a big thing.
It can be massive.
It can be massive.
It can dictate your life 100%. Yep. And something as simple as, ego, for instance, an example of ego to me is, not wanting, when you see other people succeed, or when you see, different things on, nowadays with social media and everything else, it's, people get jealous, and people aren't necessarily happy for that person.
Right.
And that's because your ego is not letting you be happy because you think you that should be you.
Right.
When really, to me, it's, you should be happy for that person, because we're all in this to win.
And that's,
we're all here to live life, and we're all here to have fun. And if they're winning, and they should be celebrating it, you should be celebrating it with them.
And I almost believe in this is why you have a skill set above other realtors, because when you're negotiating for your clients, you don't have emotion involved, which I think is awesome. Your ego isn't involved either, because what you're trying to do is find, a good even middle for both parties. Yeah. And that's really important. So with that being said, think about just recently how being present and your balance has helped you in a transaction with a client via negotiation or to winning them over just in the last few years, you know, because as a realtor, I know you have maybe 1 or 2 stories that.
Oh yeah, there's always different.
Get a realtor talking about his clients, and it won't stop. So we only have about another 10. No, just kidding.
Correct.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, there's always different, you know, clients and different needs and all different sorts of crap that happens in a transaction. But I think a lot of it is just simply it's not being emotional about it, because that's the client who's being emotional. Your job is to simply just be even keel and point out the facts and help guide them through the process to where if something makes sense or if it doesn't make sense. But the biggest difference between me and most people is if something doesn't make sense, you call it out, you let them know, and you advise not to do it.
Right.
That's the difference. That's as opposed to trying to put someone in a situation just because you can get a check. And that's the difference that I can honestly say for me, of how I personally feel I separate myself apart from the rest is it's not about me. It's never been about me. I'm just someone who guides someone through the process, and I have the courage to be able to tell someone to walk away, even if it's the dream place, but it's because that's what's right to do.
Right.
And it's because it's their best interest and not mine. That's how I think. That's how I was raised. That's how I do business, period. And I keep it black and white. I don't have the emotion, and does this make sense or no? If not, why? Is it worth it? If yes, then let's analyze every pro and con to it. If not, then move on and find something else.
It's like and one of the reasons why I believe we gel as coach to athlete is that exact authenticness. Yeah. You know, to me, that comes in our core values of accountability. Yeah. So what you're doing is, and as a realtor, your fiduciary duty, your bundles of rights is to do exactly that. Just like me as a nurse, as an advocate, is to put our feelings aside to make sure that the transaction is in the best interest. And it's really hard to do that a lot of times because emotions involved. You're literally telling someone in a good way, because I think that's the right thing. This is not the deal for you, because 8 out of every 10 realtors will put that person in the house. And you know what? And I've lived through it on the finance side, because the realtor doesn't get the call. The finance guy gets the call that says, why did you screw me over? Yeah. The realtor screwed me over because I'm in a house that I can't afford, and now I have to go do something that, you know. Yeah. And I never want to hear that story, because I often tell someone, and you do too, you're selling houses not just once. You're selling houses for their families, their friends. We go to their house, and I even, as a barbecue, you want to be that guy that's hanging around and like, hey, there's my guy. There's my real estate guy. There's my fitness guy. Because that's why I think that I work with very few people, but the people that we do work together with are the ones that understand that that's what they want, that accountability. Yeah. And some people will get mad at you and I. That's cool. But you know what? The nice part about that is they'll find someone that fits their needs, and so will we. Yeah. So, I mean, we're not, each and, to the both of us, there's a perfect fit for every situation. Yep. Sometimes with personality styles and whatnot, it's not always the perfect fit for me or for someone else, because I work a certain way, you work a certain way, and everything else. But as Rick just mentioned, it's that accountability. And a perfect example of that actually took place this morning as Rick decided to call me out for certain things in fitness. And this whole year has been a big learning curve for me, of me questioning myself and just everything about, consistency and what am I not doing enough of. And it's the reason I'm working with him is simply what he just did this morning, of calling me out of what I'm doing and what I'm not doing. And that's why I'm here. And I'll tell you, thank you for that, Casey, because the part of and I'll use a guy like David Goggins. So David Goggins is talking to Joe Rogan on his podcast, you guys. And it's just one of the things that way Marines are kind of in Special Forces guys are done. It's the limiters sometimes that we put in our minds. Yeah. And I myself have done that to me. And one of my biggest limiters, you guys, is doing admin work. Yeah. I can always live in the fitness world. I can always do that. But the minute I have to get down and really do with my dyslexia, my ADD, it's you avoid it. But in the Marine Corps, we used to always say this: keep going, keep using that initiative, and then work on that judgment. Because if it didn't work out the greatest, or maybe you didn't do it the right, that's okay. But that's something where you and I can continuously keep working on, is we're going to keep having that initiative and mastering that judgment. And I will tell you guys, that is what really fitness is about, you guys. The reason I talk about fitness, as Casey was able to be vulnerable right there, that vulnerability is how you get better, because that takes courage. That courage is what it's going to do so that your coach can get together, so that it is the ability for you guys to work to what? To get mentally tough, to establish that grit. Now, grit is something I believe I can teach. If some people feel that they can't, but you can teach grit. Grit is me driving to his house at 5 o'clock in the morning, knocking on his door, getting him up. That's a way to cultivate grit.
He did that. I sprained my ankle on Friday, and I decided not to show up because I wanted to rest it, and Rick didn't accept that and decided to show up and literally wake me up in bed at 5 a.m.
We did.
And I could not go back to sleep.
Yeah, I did.
After that, and I had a mental, I wouldn't even say it was a breakdown, but just a mental confusion for about 30 minutes after that of just what happened.
Why would this happen? Did I just
did he really just walk into my house and wake me up? And after that, ultimately, it just made me believe, or not believe, but just understand that who else is going to do that? No one.
Thanks, brother. Because you know what?
No one. Name another coach that would do that. That is just next level accountability more than anything. I mean, that's. I cannot even imagine anyone else doing that. And I expect it from him because I know him, but to actually have it happen was mind-blowing to me.
And I will tell you that instant, someone did it to me. That's why I give that. You know, as I was a Marine, or if I was in a real estate business, it takes just that one person. And you guys have heard, for me, it's Robbie Ventura. Yeah. As that guy, Robbie Ventura, why did this pro cyclist care about me? He could care less. You know, and here's the reason, bro. We care. Yeah. Because we care for you to be ultimately better. That's where it comes in, where those community, accountability, and then fun. Yeah. And that's really what it is. Now, I will tell you this, is that KC is a great realtor. He's a great friend. He's a great mentor. So if you're in anywhere in the local area, or if you're transitioning, if you live in like the East Coast and you want to come out to live out here, have KC at Swell Properties really kind of take care of your real estate needs. The other thing that I love about this is he can do current market analysis. Really, right now, we're getting close to the end of the year for taxes, and the biggest asset you have is your home. Yep. So sometimes not even knowing the value of your home as a finance guy, are you getting taxed correctly? Are you getting overcharged in taxes? And some of those things could be accomplished by just doing a current market analysis of your property. And that is a nice way to, again, as you're getting your returns, to use that. If you're getting money, or like me, usually got to pay money. Yep. All right. At least you know that you're not just guessing on what your property is. You're hiring a professional. And then what's nice is, in the period that it takes you, maybe 3, 5, 6, 7 years, guess what? You build a relationship with someone so that the minute you go out there, you don't feel like you're getting screwed over. Correct. And that's what happens with most people. Most people don't have a relationship. I have a realtor. I have a CPA. I have a doctor. Guess what? That's my ecosystem. And with that ecosystem, those are all professionals that I rely on. They're not screwing me over. They're people that have that same motivation for us to be better. So, Casey, always, thank you so much for coming. And here's what this will air on Thursday, you guys, on our SoundCloud. Please tell your friends about us. And like I often like to thank Panicking Coffee House for providing us our coffee. Our motivation will inspire us to be better. See you guys soon. Oh, yeah.